I've sort of kept my talk on more on principles and so on. Sunday morning, 8 in the morning after long days, and it's more on principles and I think thought-provoking. We're all doing wonderful work, and each one of us is the best in the world, as am I. But having said that, I'd like to move on and just bring in a few thoughts which I think Amin has said about being stress-free. Aziza has said that in Pakistan this happens, that happens, and everything is fortified all along the way. And yet you see it everywhere else in the world where there is fortification. So just little keeping that in mind, I will go ahead and say that man has researched for the betterment of humans' body, quality of life, and life is living and being alive and being able to be what you want to be with as much health and naturality as is possible. And the educated and the observant, they are the ones who are remembered. Principles of gravity, motion, so on and so forth. They're the very obvious things. And then one goes into the nitty-gritty and then parathyroid hormone levels, etc. There are variations, diurnal and so on and so forth. So, you have to keep all those natural things in mind as well, because the level in the morning might be very different to a little while later in the day. So, the human being is as complex as is Earth. The sunrise, then you go to sunset and everything in between and the whole night that you pass in it. The East had a huge amount and a wealth of knowledge on medicine, and they still do. But somehow they have been allowed to be marginalized by people who are so taken up by the West that the Eastern forms of medicine, of eating, dietary habits, exercises like yoga, etc., which was mentioned by Aziza, I think, all these things are also very important to remember. And if we go on, the recorded systems of herbal medicine, acupuncture, meditation, then came medicine, surgery, the diet, exercise, and martial arts, etc. All these things we should keep under our belt when we are consulting or when we are living. And it should be part of life on an everyday basis. Asia and Middle East have had a very important role in the development of medicine, as did the Muslims of the times gone by. Pakistan, I recall, there were PhDs and we had the best investigative instruments and hospitals right up to, I think, 1970. And then things started to decline and we sort of so happily say that Pakistan does not have this, Pakistan does not have that. But I know that we have seen it all and we've had some of the best diagnostic facilities and the best medicinal facilities, universities, and some of our scholars, all our scholars, all of you sitting here are recognized internationally. So, there's a lot over there, but it's just that we've allowed it to go down because of the lack of understanding of what is required and not nipping things in the bud by way of our body and by way of what is required. And then you go on to pioneers of Hikmat medicine, reconstructive surgery, nasal reconstruction. It was an Indian, Shushta, who brought in reconstruction. That is mentioned very briefly and then it kind of goes off at a tangent elsewhere. So, there's a lot we can learn from our own forms of medicine. Then the West brought in homeopathy, an excellent form of treatment, which does not harm the body, but it does give a lot of medicinal support when required. And that is one of the things we are doing at our institution, at the educational campus, and we're also starting a community-based healthcare facility where you could also have a look at it. There's research which took over and the progress in all fields. And I think that's the most important. Knowledgeable humanity in nature is most important. We go back to understanding ourselves, understanding why we are here, what we are doing, and how we're supposed to sustain ourselves. And we can then go into the economics and so on and so forth. Could we move on? machine?
Yes, sorry.
Then there's been this abuse of age, nature, diurnal variations, chemicals, genetic fiddling, and so on and so forth. So what has happened? How are we today? We are in a state of confusion. Our minds are all boggled with all kinds of data and numbers and figures. So the simplest things have gone out of the window, which are really the root cause of most of the problems that we face. Our bodies are all messed up because the chemicals, everything natural is bad. Go off organic and get into the modified, artificially created stuff. And then have that very thing that has been taken away from your body in the form of injections, tablets, this thing, that thing, and the other thing, and then get blood tests done, and they're going to show those levels to be down. I'm sitting there in the sun all day long, getting dark and getting tanned and getting vitamin D, but my D is gone. Because I'm having that dabba of milk, which has God knows what in it to take that D away from me. So I think we really, and now go back to the cow, get the milk from there and drink it, and then go and sit in the sun and enjoy yourself. So, and there's absolute there's a dis-ease in living. ये नहीं खाओ, ये करो, वो नहीं करो, ऐसे बैठो, ऐसे करो, यूं नहीं है. That stress is killing us all. And then Amin comes in and all the cardiologists come in and the psychiatrists come in and give you more chemicals, and then whatever remains, that goes away. Accidents. Accidents, they happen because of that one fraction of distraction or lack of concentration. And I have seen devastation of entire families because of that, by way of guns, explosions in the homes, road traffic accidents, and that one moment of distraction and lack of planning. So these are things that will prevent a lot of agony and despair if one just concentrates on that. And deformity. Deformity by way of drug abuse, there are lots of cutting and so on and so forth. Deformity by birth, which we have labeled as deformity, but if you really look at it, anyone who is born, whichever way we are born, color, shape, size, everything, it is normal. If we don't have hands, we are normal because the rest of our bodies compensate for everything else.
Yeah.
And I think I have just addressed that. Marketing is the bane of our lives. You have to destroy to reconstruct. And when you destroy, then you reconstruct. So destruction, there are weapons of destruction by way of our diet, by way of chemical intakes, by using drugs and abusing them. Every person is on Xanax and then schizoid to a great extent. They're hearing voices and all kinds of things are happening, but that's fine because they can't sleep in the night, so pop a pill. There is children who are actually internalized with so many introjecs that, and then it's not supposed to look at the parents, they're not supposed to aankhe niche karo, ye karo, wo karo, so go around cutting themselves or injecting themselves with drugs just to smooth and to calm themselves down because of the stresses and pressures around. And those are the areas which are marketed. Bullets are marketed, guns are shown with the army and everyone sort of looking at them and trying to understand what you're supposed to use to kill the bad man. The bad man is showing the guns to, sort of sell them and kill other people. And so this marketing goes on. As long as people are dying and the guns are selling and the bombs are exploding and we are repairing all the rubbish, then that is, sort of the in thing nowadays. So marketing. Market vitamin D, market vitamins, market, but don't ask that. So we go to the, and it's glamorous. And plastic surgery is one of the most glamorous businesses around. The person starts to look like not a very acceptable plastic doll or a man who's looking kind of strange for the years that he's in, but then it's the glamorous thing to do. Go get yourself injected, go get yourself chopped up, take your fat from here, stick it there, take any flap from here, stick it somewhere else, sort of take bone from here. But the human body is not meant to be fiddled with. So, the next slide. Now here we go. There is variation in nature, and that is infinite. Two cells are not the same, and if you count the number of living creatures, minerals, inanimate, vegetables, resources, and so on, no two cells are the same, and the constituents of two cells aren't the same. So who are we to say something is unnatural or deformed? Who are we? Only when I want to operate, before the next surgeon operates, come along, I'm going to stick that part of your finger over there, I'm going to make your bones longer, and you're going to be able to do nothing after that, but come to me and I will be rich and go in a big car while you can go to hell. And look at that. Where is the deformity? In our minds of the people around, and they are the ones who cause the psychological crippling. It is always the near and dear ones who are no better than the child they bring in, but they sort of go and they stick their hands on their noses, on their cleft lips, on whatever part is not as we want to see them. And iska ye hai, iska ye hai, iski shadi kaise hoegi, ye kaise, wo kaise. And they are so dead within and so careless about what that child is feeling, and the child just sits there like an inanimate object being pushed around by the parents, and they are the ones who are killing that child. If they just concentrate on noticing their ability, their joy, they would be much better off at parenting than what they are doing to help them by running around to doctors and ruining their systems and their anatomy. So, addictions, carelessness, accidents, and abuse. These are my very recent patients who have just sort of completed and come away from. There are areas that need to, I think every time a train passes by, we have a little shake.
Yeah.
Planes.
Planes or trains? Yes, यहाँ से underground भी है ना? है ना? So, if you come to, I was talking of addictions. Addiction to Xanax and many other things which are not necessarily drug abuse of the kind that we are used to knowing as soon as we hear of drug abuse, but addictions of Xanax, sleeping tablets, and various other things. Then this is a particular type of burn that comes along when there is the barbecue season. The Begum sits there with her barbecue right next to the direction of the wind is not considered, the location of the barbecue is not considered, and the Khansama is told to put the petrol there and light it. And boom, the flame comes along, Begum is in all her nice clothes, and there's a bonfire, and then there's a barbecue. Then the first thing that one does is put lots and lots of water, which is not done. All kinds of haldis and पूरा मसाला बिरयानी का, उसके बाद टूथपेस्ट, नील और वल्ला आलम क्या क्या डाल के, and then deep blister. पता नहीं कहाँ first aid मिलता है, वहाँ पे सारा जो natural dressings है, that is deep blistered, and so whatever protection that person has from the masala and the biryani concoction, that is gone. A whole lot of infection is introduced. And then there comes the patient कि हमने पानी नहीं डाला, लेकिन ये भी किसी ने कहा था डाल दिया, वो भी छड़क दिया, सब कुछ करके आपके पास लेके आए हैं. और फिर 4 दिन नहीं लाए, 5 दिन नहीं लाए, 7 दिन लेके आए, क्योंकि अभी ये शेक भी कर रही हैं, जागती भी नहीं है, बुखार भी चढ़ गया है, हमने इनको फलानी चीज़ दी, ये चीज़ दी, वो चीज़ दी, लेकिन अभी ठीक नहीं हुई हैं. So here she is, straight into the surgical ICU, lots of fluids, and antibiotics, and so on and so forth, and conservative management to as much as is possible. And this was an accident where the CPEC is working in Balochistan, and I don't know what they're doing, but they're definitely blowing up things. And these people have been coming in with all kinds of very nasty injuries, and also have little children because the mothers are so very busy doing everything else but taking away the sharp objects from around where the children play. And so they fall and get very mean, deep injuries from corners of tables and other beautification stuff, and they come in. The reason why I show the smiles, etc., is because along with my medicine, I'm doing counseling and psychotherapy, so I work on the child's right mind with mind. That is what the scientists say. And once you start doing that, then the communication with anyone is much better, and they're actually listening to you. And so I do most of my work in the local anesthesia. Very little general these days. And that's what everybody requires. And those are very happy children, and the movement, exercise right away. As soon as the moribund patient comes to me, they're told they're going to live, and they have to exercise, and they do squats, and they do all kinds of movements, and that's one of the things. There's the other one standing there, he had 70% burns. So the way forward is to go back to natural. The thing that I'm using nowadays is platelet-rich plasma, which is as natural as I can get, and that's for filling, for repair. I'm using very little of skin grafts, etc. And these are some of the examples that I've brought in here. That's a drug addict lady who was given Dormicum for headache, and so she's looking for the slightest vessel that she can find, and she was kind of like that all over the body. And she sort of recovered with PRPs. This is the burn, deep with the barbecue, all treated with PRP, and she's doing well. This is one of the patients who was in the blast. A lot of stones and all that came out of there, and this was all conservative, just with PRP, and that's him, the same man. And this is a lady who had fillers. That was her when she came in, and that's her afterwards.
Are you looking for questions?
Not really. Do you have
Because I
questions?
think your talk should have been the last.